You are listening to the Savage FINcast Retro, Episode 14, Freak Force, number 1 and 2.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast Retro, the podcast that's ready to reopen America. I'm Raven Perez.
I'm Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
And the Savage FINcast Retro is a look back at past issues of Savage Dragon, spin-offs, one-shots, miniseries. If Dragon's in it, we're on it. Today, got a very fantastic show for you. We're going to be looking at Freak Force, issues 1 and 2.
So, before we even begin reading this, I mean, Freak Force is a really important series for Savage Dragon because it was the second ongoing Savage Dragon series, of which there has only ever been this one. Really.
Yeah, you're right.
What do you mean the second ongoing Savage Dragon?
He means not a mini-series.
Right. So,
well, besides Dragon itself.
Right. Dragon and Freak Force were the two, quote-unquote, Savage Dragon ongoing series. So
right.
The spin-off series. And the thing is, Dragon has almost exclusively had miniseries as its companion series. But for this brief moment in time, there were 2 books.
Series.
It's so important to Savage Dragon because a lot of things that he can't flesh out in Savage Dragon, he fleshes out in Freak Force, and you almost had to buy both books to really get a good grasp of what was going on. But they're good books.
I'm excited because for me, this is going to be my first time rolling through these. And not going to lie, I mean, I've never tried to play it off. I came to the series with a huge gap in my reading. And there's stuff that you and Jim referenced from this that I had no idea. I was like,
I've also never read it myself.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Wow.
I read
That's
issue
awesome.
I read issue number 1 once, and I bought all the issues, but I've never read any of these either.
So
Fantastic.
are you guys...
Well, I read the Joey Finkelberry issue, but that's it.
Joey Finkelberry was specifically what I was thinking of. Like, when you guys talk about Joey Finkelberry, I don't know who the fuck it is. It's not ringing a bell. I know him as a dragon
We'll
character.
get to Joey.
Okay.
Are you guys reading these for the first time before we do the podcast, or have you read through them already at this point?
First time before we read the podcast. I read these today.
First time before the podcast.
Awesome.
Also read
Awesome.
them today.
Yeah.
Wow, this will be good. This will be good to get your guys' opinions on things since I've gone through these before, and you know, to get the first impressions are going to be great. I will say with Freak Force, what I really enjoy about Freak Force and what I enjoy Eric's choices on the teams. So putting Keith Giffen as the writer and then getting a guy like Vic Bridges, who's got a real John Byrne type style, who wasn't really that proven at the time. He did Phase 4 Phases or whatever that indie book is with that Eric worked on.
Oh, that book. I do know that book. I've seen it in dollar bins.
Yeah, so the thing is, though, when you compare these, like, this Freak Force spin-off title from Savage Dragon to, like, the Extreme or the Wildstorm spin-offs, Freak Force, I feel like, still stands up. Like, the art still is almost timeless. I mean, it's a little bit dated in the styles.
When you say
but
Byrne, I don't know. I kind of see what you're saying about the John Byrne influence, but I don't know.
it's big time.
It's
really
huge. Because I don't know. I'm not a big John Byrne fan, but I like this.
Craig, didn't Vic actually say Byrne was an influence?
Yeah, before we get into this, I don't know if you guys want to just talk about Inside Image issue
Absolutely.
10.
Yeah.
Which Inside Image was a free kind of magazine that kind of just had all the solicitations for Image Comics. It was a little black and white book. In issue number 10, they do an interview for the team for Freak Force. And so for the listeners, the team of Freak Force, Keith Giffen's doing the
Plotting.
script, the plotting, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So Eric's doing the scripts. Keith Giffen's doing plot storytelling. It sounds like he's doing a lot of the roughs, like rough pencils, and then giving Vic Bridges free reign to do, the full pencils with I don't know who Carl Story is, someone else inking.
Well, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
So Keith Giffen, historically, the way he scripts his comics, he plots his comics, is he basically draws the entire comic in like loose pencils, in like thumbnail form.
Right.
And then the penciler bases what they do off of that. And then I assume Eric Larson comes in at the end and puts all the words in people's mouths.
This actually is specifically outlined in a letter, in the letters column.
Yeah.
So they actually break it down. But yeah, you are correct.
But yes,
long story short.
that is how Keith Giffen makes comics. He always does that.
And so Chris Eliopoulos is also doing the lettering, so it's got that Savage Dragon feel. In Inside Image number 10, actually Josh Eichhorn does the interview, and he interviews Vic Bridges, Giffen, and Larson. But on Vic Bridges, he says, "Vic, how did you get involved in the Freak Force project?" And I found this interesting because I didn't know this. He said, "Actually, Jim Lee wanted me to do Stormwatch for him. I turned it down, which would have been a stupid move if Eric hadn't called. Eric asked me, and I said, okay. It's ironic because Eric had worked with me on the 4th issue of my book, Phasers. Eric has that simplicity of style that I like. I think we will work well together." So, it's
when I think Stormwatch, I don't think this.
No, me neither. I mean,
yeah. How different would that have been, right?
Yeah. And then he talks about, he says, so this is before issue 1 came out, and it says, "I understand you are about 6 issues ahead on Freak Force. How is this possible?" Right. Said, "I started in February, and the book doesn't come out until December. I'd consider it pure laziness not to be ahead. I also wanted to see just how far ahead I could get before the first issue came out." And then further on, I think they said it might go like 6 to 8 issues ahead before the first issue comes out because he's turning them out so fast. Like Keith and Eric are like, he's ready before we're ready to give him more stuff, which is amazing. It's funny. Keith Giffen kind of blows Eichhorn off during this interview. One thing he does say is, Josh says, "How did you get the job writing Freak Force?" He says, "I think I volunteered. Every time I called Eric to go over some plot points on the Super Patriot miniseries, he'd bring up this new superhero group that Super Patriot was going to seg into. He piqued my interest, and before I knew it, we were batting around ideas for this new book of his."
Well, the interesting thing about Keith Giffen's involvement is, don't forget, we're not that many years removed from his Bwahaha Justice League era.
What's that mean? I don't even know.
So during the 80s, after the crisis, Keith Giffen and
Hilariously, I do know what you mean.
And what was his name? Hold on, his partner.
He's the guy with the faces.
Yeah, DeMathis.
Yeah,
J.D.
he draws
DeMathis. But anyway, together they
faces.
they reinvented the Justice League of the era as kind of more of a comedy book, where you had the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and
Guy Gardner,
okay. and all that. And it was a very beloved era of the book, even though it did not feature your heavy hitters like Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman.
Am I correct in saying the cover was them all together, and he's like, "What are you looking at?"
Yeah, that's where it started. Yes,
the Blue Demon was saying that, right?
No, that was Guy Gardner.
Oh, all right.
But anyway,
yeah,
what I'm
now,
saying is that we're not that many years removed, and in a lot of ways, Freak Force reminds me of that style of superhero team that's a little bit irreverent.
Yeah.
It's
definitely a lighthearted goofiness to it. One last thing I'll talk about with this Inside Image. They asked Eric, how do you like Vic's work? And Eric says, Vic is very influenced by John Byrne, and as a big John Byrne fan, it's a real thrill to look at Vic's stuff. Byrne draws some characters that I designed years ago when the Doom Patrol crossed over into Superman, and I get the same charge when I see Vic draw these characters as I designed. Vic's storytelling is great, his backgrounds are terrific, his figure arc is exciting and dynamic. I really couldn't ask for anything more from an artist.
And I feel like he had stated at some point that this was his favorite spin-off or one-shot.
What?
So,
Freak Force?
He said Freak Force was his favorite when we talked to him during our interview.
That makes sense because it is the most complete. I mean, it is the longest, so you can do the most with it.
Right. I'm just saying, it's kind of like, it's funny, like, even in that praise, I mean, that's really high praise. You can tell that, like, he's really just digging Vic's work.
Yeah.
And probably the whole thing, like Giffen's plotting, Vic's work, like, it's probably just really, like, the whole team is just really coming together for him.
I will say this. I was put off for a long time by the art on this, which is part of the reason why I didn't read it until now.
I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I loved it either.
But,
like, at first, I did not like it.
But I've grown to love it.
Yep. So,
But the main thing that always kind of bothered me is that Vic Bridges draws his faces really wide.
yeah, square jaws, even
And
on the ladies.
A lot of very 80s hair on the ladies. And for whatever reason, that was a turnoff about 15 years ago.
Well, here's the funny thing. I mean, I don't know anything about Vic, but if he's drawing 80s hair like this, some of this it is weird. It's very weirdly 80s. If he's doing 80s hair like this in the 90s, I mean, maybe Vic lived in a rural area. Because let me tell you,
it's very Byrne though. Byrne was very stuck in the 80s.
That is true. Byrne does draw
okay.
very, like, a lot of frizzy Farrah Fawcett hair.
I was just going to say,
Especially in this era.
if you lived in a rural area, it was like the 80s right up until the year 2000.
To be fair, comics are in like a 5-year like bubble where you're generally referencing the culture 5 years before.
Like goddamn Elvis. Like we got an Elvis joke. Like I'm just saying.
But I want to go back real quick to the cover. Are you doing the Image Insider stuff?
Yep.
I want to go real back to the cover, but not the cover's great. Don't get me wrong. Although Hortus looks a little weird.
He has a hard time with Hortus.
Yeah, but I want to talk about the Freak Force logo, just real quick.
It's great. Yeah,
it's a great logo.
So you know what's really cool about the Freak Force logo?
3-dimensional.
Yes, but it is the Savage Dragon logo with another block shoved in it. Like,
I don't know about that.
You don't see it?
No.
Besides the 3D-ness, or
that's what I'm saying. If you take the take the Freak Force and you compare it to the dragon part of the Savage Dragon logo, they are very similar in their 3D-ness. Which I think
both are designed by Eliopoulos too.
Well, that makes sense, but I find that because the logos have a very similar design like that, it ties them together in a strong way.
Yeah.
I get you that sort of coming at you, 3-dimensional.
It's a great logo. I really like it.
Yeah, it holds up. I think it actually, if you put that exact same logo on a modern comic, it wouldn't look out of place at all.
How do you feel about the name? I always thought Freak Force's biggest weakness is the name Freak Force.
I think it did hurt it. I really do. I mean, again, knowing what I know now, like, in terms of, like, Savage Dragon is a world where people with abilities and stuff are called freaks.
Yes.
All right, that name makes nothing but perfect sense. However, as a know-nothing, like not knowing anything, I think if you heard the name Freak Force, you'd be put off probably.
Or the fact that the characters aren't that freaky. I mean,
they're not freakish.
Barbaric is probably the most exaggerated of them.
Hortus.
Yeah, Hortus. But they're barely weirdos.
Yeah, it's full of mostly normal-looking people.
I wouldn't know what else to call it, but I'm just saying I always thought Freak Force was kind of a dull name. When in an era of Wildcats and Gen 13 and
you know what,
Youngblood.
Jim, that is the point to make. I think when you got titles around you like Youngblood and Wildcats and Freak Force just doesn't. It's got alliteration, which is awesome. But I don't think that compared to like Stormwatch or Bloodstrike or something like that.
I feel like maybe then, but in the long run,
I agree. Craig.
It stands
totally.
up more than the more extreme names of
Absolutely, dude.
Slice Cut.
If you named your if you named your book like, Wildcats these days, everybody would think you were stupid. It is a stupid name. I'm sorry, Wildcats, that age like milk.
Yeah. It's not, I don't think it's that bad, but it's definitely like dated.
I think it's shitty. Cyberforce is a better name, and Cyberforce is almost Freak Force.
I'm not a fan of teams with the word force in the name.
You don't like ForceWorks?
Exactly. Exactly, sir.
Freedom Force?
ForceWorks ruined it.
Wow.
Also, there was a Fantastic Force, and it was bad too.
Do you guys remember the Freak Force ad that was almost like this cover, but it was drawn by Eric Larson?
Yep, that shows up
Yes.
in the miniseries back matter, I think, and that is a really cool cover. I
feel like they should have used that for number one.
Yes, in fact,
my preference for interior artists being on the cover trumps that for me personally.
I know that's how you feel. I knew you were going to say that, but I am going to agree with Craig that for selling power, if this book had Eric Larson covers, it probably would have made a sales difference.
Yeah, I just some of the stuff, the foreshortening's a little wonky on some of Vic Bridges' stuff.
Well, he's still new. I mean, he's learning the ropes as he
the
goes.
Super Patriot legs on this cover and stuff, and it's the whole Liefeld hiding the feet thing.
Hortus, I think probably and you mentioned it earlier, but the most glaring character is Hortus. Those spikes don't really feel like they have volume or anything to them. They just look like just triangles, just bam, bam, boom, bam, bam.
I forget if he gets better as the series goes on, but I always felt like he had a tough time with Hortus. It didn't look on model with what I was used to in Savage Dragon, especially with the two kind of horns on her head never kind of come across the same in this book.
I will say that his barbaric is fucking pitch perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say there's something really weird about his barbaric though. If you turned, just specifically, if you turn to I can't even tell you what page it is, but it's the page after barbaric swats the main bad guy, and he's been knocked out and into his boxer shorts.
Okay.
And you look at barbaric's face right next to Rapture's.
Okay, yeah, it's a little goofy.
And you
He's
can
got the big eyes.
he's got the big anime cartoon character look going on, while everyone else is kind of more realistic.
Right.
So he feels a lot more exaggerated than everybody else.
Barbaric has big eyes
Bother me
though.
too much, yeah. But I don't want to dog on it because, like I said, I feel like Vic Bridges' art really holds up compared to 90% of the Image stuff.
Absolutely,
that came out
dude.
This time, I think it was a good choice. I'm glad. I mean, Eric could have picked some artists that would make me cringe to look at 18 issues of art from these days, and he didn't. He picked somebody that wasn't as flashy, but I felt like had more of the classic kind of look, which I
Solid.
Is,
That's it. It's just solid. It's solid work.
Like his anatomy is good. Wasn't going for some kind of exaggerated McFarlane. I feel like some of his minis, there's one of the Deadly Duo series, I think John Cleary draws, that's just too exaggerated.
Oh yeah, I've been finding those and looking at them. They're unique.
It's almost like McFarlane threw some kind of weird filter that's too much, too cartoony. But yeah, I just think that for this series, getting somebody that just has got a good style, good clean style, good classic style.
Well, I mean, just to reiterate, what Jim said, I remember my initial reaction was I didn't like this art. It just had a weird sort of like everything you're saying as a positive. At the time, I remember.
No, I know. I agree.
I wanted that Matsuda, Joe Mad. I wanted that. But then here we are in the year 2020.
Yeah.
Here we are in the year 2020, and I totally agree with everything you're saying. Is that dude, Vic can draw fucking perspective. He can draw backgrounds.
He can draw backgrounds like a mother effer.
You
just wouldn't
draw crowds.
Yeah, Or I mean, even little details. Like I look at this as she enters the apartment, and like there's like a fucking sandwich and a drink of a glass with the drink next to it, and then a book with a pencil next. I mean, and then the photo, the framed thing on the wall has like an actual thing in the art. And I'm just saying, it's like, you don't get a lot of artists even today that really like do backgrounds. You know what I mean?
The thing I really enjoyed about Vic Bridges, on his take on Freak Force and the characters, is that where in Savage Dragon it feels like the characters just wear their costumes everywhere. Mm-hmm. In Freak Force, they have other sets of clothes that they wear more often, like street clothes, like regular clothes.
Oh, this is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. It's like, oh, look, they don't just, Rapture doesn't walk around the city in lingerie all the time.
I mean, she's a prostitute, so it works, but that's okay.
The one thing I want to praise, though, is the coloring.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall this coloring in this issue looks amazing.
Yeah.
Dude, just what we were saying, like, I think it holds up.
Yeah. We should.
The floating panels are weird. He uses a lot of these, like, offset floating panels.
I was going to ask you about that. So that's the one thing about this. The whole time I'm reading this, and I'm just like, huh.
Oh, you mean the panels with the drop shadows?
Yeah, like normally drop shadows are like a narration box
right.
kind of thing, right? And yet Vic has gone through and put drop shadows on every panel. Like what? Like what the hell? Like,
yeah, and even like some look at the third page for a listener. If you're reading along, you flip on the third page, he's got like almost what should be a 6-panel page, but instead it's like 4 floating panels with weird things in the back, like 2 panels that are combined in the background.
Yeah, okay, so panel 1 has got Mighty Man and Phyllis talking. All right. Phyllis's hair extends into the 4th panel, which has Mighty Man talking to Dart. And then their bodies extend to the bottom of the page. And then panels 2, 3, 5, and 6 are all drop shadow floating panels slapped over top of that. It is very particular.
Every panel has like a drop shadow, I think, in this issue.
But you want to know what's even weirder? Do you see how Dart's hair is full bleed, but the background color isn't?
Yeah.
That's weird. Because if you go to the top of the page, the door frame is also full bleed, but then it just stops.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, it's a choice. I'm just saying, like, choices were made.
And you see that you see that again. The page where that we're introduced to the what's his name, the Major Disaster introduces himself, standing in the rubble with the burning stuff, the big 3/4 page splash.
Yeah.
So he's in a panel that is a drop shadow panel. He's got foreground objects going full bleed off the sides. And it just looks kind of weird to me.
It's weird, dude. It's weird as shit. Because the thing is like you said, the panel gives it like a 3D effect, but then it's like that debris like exists in a whole other 3-dimensional space, like up
and like
above.
the panel at the bottom of the page, the flames from his head are going out of the panel into the drop shadow.
Yeah. I like it. I mean, I gotta admit, like, I gotta say that, like, that stuff doesn't, like, bother me. But I do think you, as a artist, you get yourself into trouble.
Yeah.
Because, like, the flame of the pipe behind him in that page is going off full bleed. But then, when you just, like, follow down, the flame of the pipe on the foreground is not. And so that's, like, inconsistent visually. And so this foreground element has less depth than the thing in the background. It's you get yourself in weird trouble when you're playing around like that. It's funny, we said he didn't do splashy, flashy things, but like, yeah, that's he's doing some weird shit there for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't take too much away. Like you can kind of ignore it, but you look at it and you're like, that's a weird decision.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just to recap the story of this issue, Freak Force is out on their own. And they have been slumming it at Phyllis's apartment. So you got all these super people hanging out in her apartment, and Phyllis is getting really annoyed by this.
So can I ask you a question? Does Mighty Man live with Phyllis, or are they just friends? Like, are they roommates?
I think they're roommates.
Yeah, I think they're roommates too.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
So they're trying to figure out how to get out of Phyllis's apartment and into their own place. And the only opportunity they have is Dart called Dragon and got a heads up about a supervillain called Major Disaster, who, if he gets, because he's been destroying like oil refineries and stuff because he's like an eco-terrorist.
Right.
Basically, the oil companies have put a bounty on his head to take him out. So if Freak Force gets to him first, they get to collect the bounty. $250,000.
It's a big one, dude.
It's a big one. $250,000 bounty on him to catch him. So they want to use this money to basically get themselves set up in their own digs. So the majority of the issue is a big fight scene of the team against Major Disaster. We basically learn that their teamwork is really, really bad.
Yep.
They are not a team yet. They are basically a bunch of random people punching bad guys and getting lucky. And ultimately, in the end, they do manage to almost accidentally take Major Disaster out and finally get their own place that they can basically be considered their headquarters.
Right.
And that's the story of issue number 1.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, we were kind of like poking at Vic's 80s looks, but I do love her striped tights.
Who's striped tights?
I think, yeah, I think they're awesome.
Oh, Phyllis's?
Actually.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to say is, if readers want to see the most cursed picture of Horridus ever, when she is laying on the bed, then she's like watching the porn, like the straight on Horridus shot.
I don't mind the straight on Horridus shot as much. I actually think that looks pretty good. The goofy Horridus shot is the one 6 pages later.
Okay.
You get the group shot of Horridus, Dart, Rapture, and Ricochet charging in. You see it?
I'm there, yeah.
Craig?
That whole panel is wonky.
That whole panel is super wonky, but Horridus is the most wonky of all.
I don't know. Ricochet, Rapture could pretty much.
Yeah, Rapture seems to be
take that
falling
title,
over.
too. Her legs are just something weird going on.
Yeah, that it is. I mean, it's a good panel, seeing all the women just charging in.
Yeah.
But good God, it's got issues.
The foreshortening on Rapture is something wonky there,
but I think that is the wonkiest Horridus. I actually, like I said, I don't mind the front on one. I think her little side smile, the panel before, is actually a little bit goofier.
No, that one's cute. She's cute. Side smile is cute. The straight on is a weird Horridus. Dude.
Yeah, because he just doesn't have the horns right. He doesn't know, like, he makes it like convex instead of concave, kind of, in a way. You know what I mean? Like the middle of her head should be more concave. That splits out to those two horns.
Oh,
right, yeah.
But her horns, like, they go over her head and they go down. They don't go up. They go down. So if you're looking at her front on, you wouldn't see her horns.
Yeah, but the middle part.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There should probably be
her nose shouldn't just be a full.
Yeah, there should probably be a little dip in there. You're right.
Yeah,
it's just one of those designs that, like, some artists like really just knock it out of the park, and then other artists, it's like it's going to be a hard to do thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a hard character to draw over and over again. And don't forget, we haven't seen her that much at this point.
Right. I also think it's I like Vic's choice to go with Tube Gun's Super Patriot, because, like, I know that he could have tried to do like Dave Johnson, but, like, I don't know, the Tube Guns are kind of charming in their own way too. Like, they fit this style. Like, if he'd tried to do, like, Dave Johnson ones, it wouldn't have worked.
No, Tube Guns are like miniseries Super Patriot.
Yeah. So the Tube Guns work for me. It's good. I mean, I like this villain too. I think this villain's interesting. He's got, like, some cool powers and interesting things, and he's got good motives. Like, he's an eco-terrorist, so he's kind of like, he's not a bad guy really. Like, but he is killing people to, like, get his way. But, like, I mean, I think they at least gave him some compelling motivation. So,
I do like how, basically, besides Super Patriot and Dart, the team just sucks because they have no experience. They've been rushed through the police academy, and they've got powers, and that's about the extent. They've got no fighting experience, so
Too young.
yeah.
What do you think of this panel on the page where Dart gets hit by this giant knife, which we should probably talk about?
Yeah, what is up with that?
I'm pretty
giant
sure
knife?
the giant knife got formed out of whatever garbage was laying around by Major Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to use his powers to make a giant knife, Bowie knife,
Yeah.
for like no reason. But
Just throwing a sharp.
But
piece of
my
shard
real
or something.
question is, what do you think of that panel third panel down with Mighty Man?
The animation
Where you
of
see
him
the
grabbing the ankle.
Yeah, the animation of him grabbing the ankle. What do you think of that?
You don't see that a lot, do you?
You do not. This
No,
is
but
a-
I like it. It's fine. I did notice it, but I think it definitely you understand what's going on.
I heard Eric criticize Byrne once by saying that he does some cartoonier than what the surrounding things are, like cartooning, meaning to say like someone gets hit in the head and stars come off their head or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of Byrne exposure, but I feel like that is a visual that is more cartoony than what this style dictates. Like in a cartoonier book that kind of like, here's my hand and then snap, I'm grabbing your ankle. That works a little bit better.
with my
this,
disembodied wrist.
Right. Like you
Like,
might.
I feel like you could have just shown him grabbing his ankle. You didn't
Bingo.
have to show two hands.
Yeah, bingo. Like there you go.
Or drop a panel border, like smack it down and turn it
Yeah.
into two panels.
But hey, guys, I mean, we're being really critiquey. Like Vic was new, and so
Yeah.
I don't
it's
know.
kind of like
It's that kind of stuff that makes this book interesting, I think.
It works for me. I have no complaints.
it does work. I mean, overall, it works, and I think there's some interesting, like you guys were talking about like colors bleeding into another thing. Like if you flip over like to the first panel is like the villain getting knocked down and Rapture's is saying yow. And then, like, the bad guy's getting electrocuted, and then, nice shot, Rapture, my turn. You got some crazy shit going on. Like, the color behind Barbaric bleeds on up into the color behind panel 2. Fools all of you, another victim.
Yeah.
And then it is just, like I'm saying, this shit is wild, dude. Like, it's all over there. And then, like, you've got Barbaric saying, nice shot, Rapture. And then, like, the word balloon's connected to the other thing is, like, my turn. I'm just saying, these are just some things that, like, it's a little bit jank. You don't see that stuff these days.
Yeah.
But I don't have a single problem with it. I just think it's funny. It's kind of a mark of the time.
Yeah. I agree. I do like in this issue how there's an effort to show everyone's powers. So you're getting introduced to the team, and you're getting to see what everyone can do.
Absolutely.
You see Hortus whack some guy in the head.
Yeah, because you think that this, because I was looking at the scene, I'm like, oh, Hortus really didn't do anything. But then at the very end, she snaps him with her tail.
And even, too, narratively, they're kind of like, they crack a little joke about, like, how the whole team was so shitty that even Hortus could have taken him down. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, even that gives you a little bit of character. Like, they don't think a lot about Sarah's powers, as a fighter.
Right. I love how Major Disaster doesn't bother to wear, like, clothes underneath his, like, his metal costume or whatever it's made of.
Well, it's made out of pollution.
Pollution, yeah.
So he just puts on his skimpies and forms his other costume over it.
Is this guy dorky looking or what? He's dorky looking, right? Like with this
Too.
sharp goatee and thinning hair.
Yeah, he looks a
think he's that bad.
lot better with his
I mean-
flaming skull face.
I mean, widow's peak. Like his widow's peak and his sharp goatee.
Yeah.
I do like that panel though, like the visual of like his like costume just coming off of him. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And we see Dart take the forehead triangle off.
Oh,
I
shit.
liked
I didn't
that.
even notice that.
I liked that.
How
Yeah.
does it stick there?
I don't know, but I
Double-sided
loved it.
tape, I assume.
When I read that, I was like, holy shit. There's a picture of Dart taking the goddamn forehead
Well,
triangle
you know what
off.
happened is it came off when she got the giant knife went at her. If you look at the panel, you can see it coming off.
Oh, yeah.
So she went back and picked it up.
Yeah, that's why she's holding
love
it.
it.
She's holding it in her hand. I bet it's like
my little tiara.
I bet it's like I think it's like comb based. I think it combs into her hair.
But I do love it. Like I said, like that's a little touch. Like as much as we're bagging on stuff here and there, like I will say that like that kind of little thing I do love because it makes, without having to like draw seams all over your costume or whatever else, it adds that tiny degree of realism. You know, just to see her take this costume element off. Or I guess in this case she's just picking it up to maybe like put it back on.
You know, I don't think Allison Dart wears it. Now that I think about it. Maybe she does.
She?
I don't know. My memory's hazy.
I don't think she... I'd have to look at it again.
Yeah, I'd have to go do the research, but that would take effort.
Seconds. Whole seconds.
But
you can go to the Savage FINcast wiki, fans, if you have any questions. But no, it was good. I like this. What do you guys think of the FF as a logo?
I like it.
I think that's part of the...
too.
I mean, it's a fine logo, but I think calling your team FF is pretty cheeky.
Pretty cheeky. Well, you know what I thought? I was like, damn, I wish I had a FF, like, you know, pin or something.
Pin or patch or
yeah, just a
sticker
pin or
decal.
Just something, you know. I think that's a cool logo, dude. Like, if they wanted to use that FF in modern, like, continuity, I wouldn't have a fucking single problem with that at all.
It's funny. You'll see in issue 2, Dart's got an FF pin.
There you go, dude. Yeah, I liked it. Overall, this I thought was strong as hell. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I was like, man, you know, Vic's got chops. Yes, there's some weird like shit from the past. I actually still low key hate Mighty Man's swooshy bangs.
Oh yeah.
I cannot stand that his bangs like come down over one eye. I hate that.
Yeah,
It's
he's the
so
world's
funny.
mightiest man. He doesn't need both eyes to see.
Who needs stereo vision when you're the world's mightiest man? But that is the one thing I can't get over. Other than that, dude, and you know, I'm a kid of the 80s. I actually kind of like love her leg warmers and everything. Like, and even the jokes, like you guys were talking about, like the sort of like ribbing each other team atmosphere. Like they get the little Christmas tree and like, oh, Dart's gonna hate it. Let's be sure to put it where she can't miss it. That's funny.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like how basically they're like young Justice League or Avengers, but they're super inexperienced. They've got a couple, like I said, old timers or experienced guys, and they're living in less than glamorous, or their headquarters is less than glamorous. It's like kind of a shithole.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of scraping to make it by. It's a cool concept because they're kind of like all outcasts. You know,
The freaks.
they're all strange and weird.
They're freaks.
Yeah, so even though they not all look freaky, they are kind of outcasts.
Yeah, even that's how the intro starts. Is that Barbaric is sitting there on the fucking fire escape, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" Like a crowd has gathered to look at him.
And you can't fit inside, and you can't fit in outside. It's a sordid life being a freak.
He's a literal outcast. No, it's good, dudes. Jim, I'm interested in your first read impressions, and then Craig, I'd like your veteran impressions.
Well, I think it's a pretty good like first issue. Sets up your characters, gives them conflict.
I think so too.
Give you a place to go at the end. I won't say it's like super exciting. It's not.
No.
It's not the most ambitious comic on earth.
I'm gonna agree with you,
But it
there.
gets the job done.
Yeah, it's real workman-like. Would you have? Can you imagine? Would you have like just snapped up an issue 2?
Probably not. Well,
I
no.
would have.
See, that's hard because here's the thing. As a Savage Dragon fan, I probably would have been a Savage Dragon fan by issue 7.
Yeah,
And so I probably would be craving more stories about these characters.
I would have. Yeah, I was gonna say,
if I had read this without reading Savage Dragon, no, I probably would not have followed up on issue number 2.
Mm-hmm.
As a Savage Dragon reader, yes, I would have continued following it.
For me, a lot of the times in Savage Dragon, the supporting cast is like criminally underutilized. You just don't get to see all these awesome characters that he has, and I would have leapt at the chance to have supporting cast members getting to like live their lives and like watch porn in a cartoon and like in an apartment. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like
that is probably the most like risque thing this issue does. Mention porn.
It's funny though, but I mean, like, there's just like there's character moments, you know. I think it's interesting. I would have snapped up an issue too, but Craig, your veteran opinion I'm asking for is, after all these years, you know, something that you think stands the test of time, like holds up, like.
Yeah, I think it's like I kind of, just to reiterate what I said, like I go back and you try to pick up those extreme books or Wildstorm books, and a lot of them it's just like, ugh, I can't get through it. Like, I can get through this fine. It's not lighting the world on fire, but it's exactly like Jim said, like it's a connection to the Savage Dragon book. I felt like in the first few issues of the regular Savage Dragon series, Dragon was kind of a supporting character in his own book because of all these characters, so it's kind of nice to pull them out, give them their own book, and let Dragon kind of stand more on his own feet while still being able to follow these guys around. So I love, as someone that's read this, I love that there's a good chunk of these issues that we can see these characters grow, and it's not taking up that space in Savage Dragon.
Yes.
Again, I think the art stands the test of time. Yes, some of the fashion's a little dated, but it's not, those McFarlane or Liefeld clones that kind of dominated the scene.
You also
I'm
cannot
grateful for
escape that, dude. I'm sorry to interrupt. You also cannot escape that. Like, every fucking book in the world has dated fashion.
Oh, yeah.
And technology.
But was it dated fashion in 1993?
It was probably dated then, too.
Because I remember the 90s, and it was really 80s part 2.
I mean, Jim, I don't know, dude. Like,
all those Dayglow
grunge.
colors, everyone loved their hairspray.
No, 90s was like grunge and like plaid. And like,
That was like 96.
What?
I don't know.
I don't think so, dude.
Grunge was already going strong in the early 90s.
Was it? Well...
Yeah, the 90s had a strong identity.
I was a child. I had my
on.
triangles and swirls on my shirt.
My
I had
criticism...
Skids. Do you remember Skids? Do you guys remember Skids?
Wait, which ones
In
are
my
Skids?
underwear.
Big baggy plaid pants.
No.
No.
But I had pipes, Levi pipes.
Do you remember
jeans.
like the MC Hammer parachute pants?
I mean,
Yes,
yes, but you know,
Yes.
you don't wear those.
Oh, no?
I mean, I
those-
wore jeans.
I did. I had
slacks.
those Lee pipes. They were huge, dude. You look
I
like a
had big
cartoon
baggy pants.
character.
And I had Junkos.
My parents would have killed me if I tried to wear my pants baggy.
My pants, you could fit two of me in my pants.
Yeah, you could have fit like one human in each leg.
How do you how do you even walk? I don't understand baggy pants. I look at them and go, that looks like uncomfortable to wear.
Dude, it wasn't
No, it's
good.
actually really comfortable to me.
Oh, you liked it? It wasn't good for me. Like, I was always tripping over the seam of it and shit. Like, yeah, they were too
You always
big.
had like the back of your jeans were like worn out from just dragging.
Like, how
Yes, dude.
do they not fall around your ankles? Like, what's the secret? Do you just flex
Mine
your calves?
did, dude.
Well, the waist still like fit. It wasn't like it was like you're wearing like pants that were too big for you. The waist, they were fitted still. It was just the
falling
legs
around your
were
ankles.
wide.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, you're right.
Strange.
I'm going to level one criticism at this comic. The only real heavy criticism that I'll say is I think it could have had a more interesting villain. That's number one. And then number two, I said one criticism, then I got two. And then the other criticism is in the very back Freak Force letters column, like Eric's doing the sort of introduction and everything. And the introduction to the characters, I feel, could have been done as 2 pages of comics.
Yeah.
Where he basically gives you just a real quick recap of every single member. And like, to me, heavy-handed as it would have been, I think if you'd taken 2 pages and been like, I mean, like, even this reads a better intro, because like they're making jokes about, Rapture being a prostitute. And it's like, okay, as a reader, you get that. But as a new reader, you don't know what you can get a lot of work done in 30 minutes means. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, that doesn't make sense at all. And so you have to know Rapture is a prostitute for that joke to land.
Yeah,
And
that's a harsh joke too. It's like, whoa.
that is a harsh joke. And I'm just saying, like even these recaps he did are very concise, you know, and they would have worked as like 2 pages of panels. You know, he's like Ricochet and Barbaric, teenage runaways with a mysterious past. Rapture, formerly hooker, now electrically endowed.
We could have done use one of the ad pages, like just put their portraits up and then put their description under it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I honestly, or like a profile, like he did in the Savage Dragon
Just
comics.
do a couple of tiny profiles on like one page, and then you're good to go.
Instead,
I forgot to mention this, but the panel where Phyllis Dieter's talking to Mighty Man, she's like, "You're looking a little tense yourself." And Mighty Man's like, "It's not that. I just have to go to the bathroom." She's like, "So?" And she's like, "Oh, is she have to like transform back to?"
No.
use the
Mighty
bathroom?
Man poops. See, the way it works is, Mighty Man and the alter ego are 2 separate people, and they both have their own biologies. When you transform to Mighty Man, your other body is still alive. It still needs food and water. It needs to poop.
Right.
But
what's the problem?
but Mighty Man himself also needs to poop. But he probably doesn't need to poop very often, because he probably doesn't eat very often, because he's Mighty Man.
But why is he having a problem? Why can't he just use the
Oh, you know what it is? It's not even any of that. It's because she has to piss. And she's a dude. And it's awkward.
Why would that make her tense?
Because she's a she. And now she's got a penis.
Yeah.
–
So you don't understand because you're dudes.
I mean, I get that you're saying it'd be weird for her to have to hold a cock to pee, but like...
Is it that much of a problem?
Also, wouldn't she have been used to it by now at this point?
Like I said, I don't think Mighty Man pees very often.
Okay. I just didn't understand that when I first read it. I was like, I understand that.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
It has to do with the fact that Mighty Man is a girl.
On that same page, behind Dart, is a picture of a burning house.
What is that?
That Phyllis has framed, and that is insane.
Well,
what is that?
Phyllis has weird art all over the place. She's got this big crane picture.
Well, there was a bird theme, and so I was kind of feeling the bird theme, but then I just noticed like Dart's on the phone.
I thought it was a burning church.
Like, got one of a big sunflower.
What in this fucking world? Oh my god! Dude.
Well, that wraps up Freak. Oh, do you guys want to talk about the ads?
Yeah, just real quick. There's the Vanguard issue 3 one that we've seen by Joe Mad.
Butt kicking action. Enough said.
Yep, and we got a Stormwatch ad for issue number 7. It says the final showdown. Stormwatch Prime returns. I'm sure this is all very exciting for Stormwatch fans. With art by Scott Clark and Trevor Scott. I don't know who any of these people are. Jim Lee and Brandon Choi. I know who they are.
They're all Jim Lee clones.
Yeah, I was going to say a bunch of like Jim Lee clones.
A Gen 13 double-page spread that we talked about last Retrocast. Then we get this big Youngblood Extreme Comics spread, like all the covers from all the different comics that
that's kind of a neat
Liefeld has churned out over these 2 years.
It's a license to print money, cool. Dude.
This seems to be Liefeld pushing the Extreme as a brand over Image as a brand, is what I would read this ad as.
Well, it says Extreme product available at comic shops everywhere exclusively from Image Comics.
Right, but it says Extreme twice, Image once. I don't know. It just gets you get a feeling that Liefeld's trying to like really push his own brand right now.
Well, remember, it's a different time. They don't know that Image is going to go 28 years. Instead, like, I think we even, like, Eric was talking about this at some point, like, they're like, oh, shit, like, the bubble was starting to burst.
Yeah, but
so
by 94, you think?
No, but I'm just saying, like, they were, like, these guys, like, they would have been at that point, like, starting to try and... Everybody had different goals, remember?
Something I forgot to do, I should have been doing the entire time of the Retrocast. This issue comes out December 1993. Just to put it into context of the times.
Merry Christmas.
That's why we see the Christmas tree. Even in those early days, Eric keeping track of that.
Christmas, dude. The holiday that always gets representation.
Yeah, he loves his Christmas.
Fucking Christmas, bro. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where like, and you had Top Cow and all those, like, even back then they were trying to like get studios and like literally studios where guys would come and work.
Wait, what was Top Cow at that time? What was Turner? Wasn't a founder, was he?
Silvestri was.
Oh,
with
Silvestri.
He was with Homage Studios. I'm sorry, not wasn't Jim Lee's Homage before it became Wildstorm?
No. It's always been Wildstorm. Homage was a imprint of. Unless I don't know something about that history, because I always saw Homage as an imprint of Wildstorm. Homage is who published Astro City and.
No, Jim Lee started Homage first. I'm almost positive, and Silvestri was under that studio.
Silvestri was a founder, though, right? So.
Yeah, but he worked.
He was doing cyber. I guess
with
he was
Jim.
He was doing Cyberforce. That's what I was trying to get at. I guess I couldn't remember if he did.
Yeah.
When Witchblade happened, because that's when Top Cow era started. Was like Witchblade.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest.
Why was I saying
My
Turner?
timeline on that shit is fuzzy as hell.
I'm trying to look at like his thing, but
All right, I've got the Wikipedia on Homage Comics. Comic book publishing imprint, a subdivision of Wildstorm, created in 1995. So that can't be it.
Oh, so we're still 2 years from Homage Comics coming out, right?
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it doesn't matter. Fuck it, moving along.
I just was watching the Image Comics documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And Top Cow was created in 92 when Image was founded. So he was Top Cow the entire time.
Oh, okay.
He shared a studio, but they had their own imprints, Top Cow and
Okay.
Wildstorm.
Well, that's it then. They were in the same studio. But I knew they were like, there's all the different studios, and they were starting to get competitive. And that's where the whole thing with Liefeld had a falling out because he was, I think Silvestri accused him of trying to steal some talent from his studio.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was that big thing. So there was
That's
getting
why
some competition.
Top Cow left Image in like 96.
Right, and then came back once they kicked Liefeld out.
Right.
I believe.
Yes.
Right.
And then that's when you'll see Larson start to go towards the highbrow imprint on his.
Right.
And then eventually he drops it. And I remember reading in a letter page somewhere, and I forget, I think it was in Vanguard, that said, like, why did you drop the highbrow thing? And he was like, I'm just Image Comics. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Everyone else has their studios. Larson likes to just be Image.
Well, Highbrow was also a parody of Legend. Remember Legend?
Not really.
He was
Yeah.
like a little Dark Horse Image Comics.
Yeah, that was like Monkey Man and O'Brien and
Hellboy.
Hellboy, and what's the other one that...
Martha Washington?
No, Giant Robo, right?
Yeah.
No,
Rusty,
not Giant Robo. Big Guy and Rusty.
Big Guy and
Big
Rusty.
Guy and Rusty, which is amazing.
So basically, like, Highbrow was a parody of the Legend logo, which I thought was funny.
Really? Is that what it was supposed to be? I didn't realize that.
Put them side by side, dude. It has to be. If it never was official, it was just way too much of a coincidence. But, like, yeah, the Legend logo is, like, almost the Highbrow logo. It's really close.
So here,
My favorite thing is the Savage Dragon Burt strips when he uses the highbrow logo as a dildo.
Spoilers, I haven't read that.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm kidding.
that'll be a great thing to cover when it starts. So,
Anyway.
quick question: how do you guys? The only other ads left are the Max versus the Pit for Max issue number 7 and a Freak Force number 2 cover preview. What do you guys think?
And Wildcat 7.
Yeah, and Wildcat 7. But talking about these two, what do you guys think of having the entire like logo and publisher mock-ups on the preview art and the price tags?
Skip it, just show us the cool art.
Yeah, I also agree. I think having them mocked up just like covers is just kind of weird. Because I could bend this cover backwards, and it's suddenly Freak Force number 2.
Yeah,
And-
it's show me a cool art. Like, show me cool image. Like, you don't need all that shit.
But and yeah, on the back cover we get Wildcats number 7. So all these books are actually at issue number 7 at roughly the same time. Stormwatch was issue 7. Wildcats is issue 7. Savage Dragon is issue 7.
Which is weird because
Max
Dragon
is issue
had
number
miniseries.
7. Yeah, exactly. So so that's Freak Force number 1.
And then we go to the immediately cooler, should have been the first issue.
You think
Freak
so?
Force number 2. Yes, dude. This
Really?
issue's so much better.
It is so much better, but I feel like you needed that setup of 1.
I think if you're trying to hook fans, you go for the gusto and then you spill the, like, oh, you know, we're trying to find our headquarters and I gotta pee or I gotta poop or whatever.
This one does have a better antagonistic force because at least it ties into one of your character's backstory.
They look cooler too.
I don't agree with that, but I get what you're saying.
Cooler powers. They look cooler. Like, to me, this was way better than the first issue. Way better.
So yeah, we got Mako in the cover, a big seller, that Mako.
Look at Ricochet's off-kilter lips. I really like that.
Oh yeah, her face is all contorted, oh no, it's Mako.
I'm just saying, a lot of artists wouldn't do that.
Also, we found Mighty Man's head. Oh wait, that's a callback to another episode. Never mind.
Good luck making that joke work, audience.
It's a cool cover. I like it.
It is. It's a good cover. I think, like, if you put this on stands today, it would still sell. Like this, when we're talking about like
you don't think Mako looks a little tame?
I think his big fat bottom lip looks weird.
Yeah,
but overall the cover
okay.
is strong.
I mean, don't forget, again, Mako hasn't been drawn in a lot of issues, and it's just a different artist's take, but
Right.
I'm totally fine with it.
yeah.
I'm fine.
Because in this issue, we get both Mako and the Covenant of the Sword, both groups characters who have history with Super Patriot. So it ties all together a lot more neatly than the first issue, which was just a lucky break. Oh, lucky that this eco-terrorist is nearby that we can go capture. What luck. To get our $250,000 and buy our headquarters.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, they called in a favor, you know?
But yes, this issue was published January 94, and its rough story is Freak Force is trying to hire a secretary, and it's not going well because Barbaric scares everybody away because he's freaky looking.
Too ugly.
Meanwhile, we find out the mayor of Chicago, which is actually kind of interesting, we'll talk about that later, is a member of the Covenant of the Sword, that clandestine organization that has been trying to do something, take over the world, and they were the ones who reprogrammed and messed with Super Patriot in his miniseries.
Right.
Wait, what was their motivation for attacking him? Oh yeah, to clean up as an embarrassment. So basically,
Yeah, he's
they,
an embarrassment.
They put together a team to go kill Super Patriot because having him walking around is flaunting Covenant of the Sword's power. So they put
failure, yeah.
Yeah, so they put a team together of 5 dudes, one of which is Mako. So they teleport to the roof of the Freak Force headquarters, where a fight between them and Barbaric, Ricochet, Mighty Man, and Super Patriot ensues. Oh, and Hortus, she's there too. Fight happens. Inevitably, eventually, they do manage to turn the tide and win the day. We briefly see Dragon, and in the end, because the Covenant operatives did not succeed in their mission, they terminate the mayor, as the Covenant of the Sword is wont to do.
Don't forget that there's a subplot throughout the whole issue of Super Patriot knows the jig is up. Mighty Man is not the man he used to be.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that is a subplot that runs through. Early on in the issue, Mighty Man basically tells Dart directly, that... Or does that happen early on?
No, it's a thing. Like, when he's talking, he's like, hey, I just want to talk to someone my age. This team's not, this team's too young. Times have changed. You've changed. And then when you get to the end of the issue, that's when he confirms the kill with Dart. He's like, hey, look, dude, something's up with Mighty Man. He's acting like a total amateur. He's not himself.
I could have swore, though, maybe it was last issue, that Mighty Man told Dart flat out that he's not the same person.
She told Dart because she told Dart, but only Dart knows. She
Right.
said she didn't want to tell anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember where that happened. I can't remember if it happened last issue or if it happened
It's
in
in the
Savage
cafe.
Dragon 6.
No, it was in the... Oh, well,
In the cafe last.
that might have been Savage Dragon 6, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're in
I'm
the
thinking
cafe.
it was in Savage Dragon 6 now that I really think about it.
Yeah,
I'll
I
have to go-
trust you. You're the only one I can trust.
But, so this issue, I think, is as good as the first,
Better.
as a complete
I think
package.
it's better.
Well,
I
tell
think
me,
it's better.
tell me why.
Better in every way, dude.
Still
I'll
got,
let
still
Craig
got,
go.
still
I
got those drop shadows though.
Yeah, those drop shadows. What's funny, I love is like he's really leaning into it too. Like the woman on the very first splash page, her fingers are casting a drop shadow, as are her boots.
As are her boots. Wow, that is a thing.
I love it, dude. It's like a little fucking light is shining. But I said why I thought. Craig, you say.
Well, I think it's better. I think the villains are better.
Yep.
I think Mako and the Covenant of the Sword tying in, the Savage Dragon series and the Super Patriot series makes it exciting.
Yep.
At this time, I just remember being like, I need to know everything I can about the Covenant of the Sword. Like,
Yep.
They're cool. I love how they're just like kind of this class of people that nobody knows about, where they're like normal, everyday politicians and your workers, and then they go underground and put their little like Knights of the Templar uniforms on and
Yep.
worship some kind of weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
These villains were all brand new besides Mako. That was kind of exciting. They were cool. They had a lot of cool powers. And also what I kind of talked to you guys about before is we're seeing these characters in like either different costumes and like
Yeah, dude.
I do like that Vic Bridges does this in the series, and you'll see he puts them in a lot of like street clothes or different clothes in their costume, which gives it a realer feel, or just a more, I don't know, just a different feel than Eric does, where Eric kind of always keeps people in costume.
Ricochet and Barbaric in particular are fighting in like fucking, she's in like pajamas almost, like sweats.
Nah, she's in jeans. She's in jeans and a sweatshirt.
Sweatshirt, but like he's got on like this like exercise suit, like tights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it actually kind of looks cool on him.
yeah, he's just not wearing the same costume all the time. It makes sense,
Yeah.
catch them off guard, because this is their place, like they're hanging out waiting for a new job. The other thing I wanted to point out, which I didn't get when I first read this, and I didn't even realize it when I read Savage Dragon 81, but Savage Dragon 81 in the Savage world has Mako in this costume.
That's what I was gonna say. Everyone says, "Oh, that's his Savage World, his Namor costume,"
Yeah,
but no, it's
yeah.
from here.
Yeah, and I didn't catch that. Although the one in the Savage world, I think, is yellow instead of green.
Yeah, it's a little different, but it's a similar pattern.
But I totally forgot about that until I did the reread today.
Well, let me tell you, part of what I was saying when I said these villains look cool, I love Mako in his Covenant of the Sword outfit here with the jagged like triangles. But then a really nice thing that Vic did is, if you notice, every single one of these villains has a unique shape pattern running up the seams of their suit.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. I mean, it's just a really nice touch. And I think Mako looks fucking badass, as does, like, fucking Octopus Head guy.
With the Covenant logos, too.
Yeah.
I am trying to find out what these characters' names are, but it's one of those cases where they don't state them outright when you first meet them, and you got to catch it all in dialogue.
It's Flux, Hive, Manga, Squid, and Mako.
I do hate Manga as a name, but moving along.
Manga. Hive is the guy that generates all the little mini guys.
That
off
is
of
an
him.
awesome power.
What's his?
And Flux can phase.
Well, it's not really phasing. It's like, I mean, it is phasing, but she can like disconnect her wrists from her arms and her body from her body.
She's Buggy the Clown, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. But
One Piece joke. Sorry, folks.
I'm trying to figure out what Manga's deal is, because it looks like
He's a
He can
teleporter,
take on the
dude.
powers of comic book characters.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Oh.
So he's Nightcrawler, and then he's Lobo.
I didn't pick that up at all.
Right, so he says, so the Covenant of the Sword guy says, okay, make, what did he say? He says, pinpoint his location, make it quick and messy, Manga. And then Manga says, this looks like a job for the Night Creeper. Then he gets all dark and sinister, and then his shoulder pads look like night crawlers. You're right. And they bamf away.
Oh my god!
But he even says bamf.
He does. So
it's a midnight creeper instead of nightcrawler.
And so when he lands, he's sick because it disables him for a while. And then
this is a fucking Fountainhead moment because I did not pick up on that shit at all, but it makes his name make so much more sense.
Yeah, it's literally a reference to comic books.
Oh my god!
He turns into Lobo and talks just like Lobo.
He turns into Lobo. I missed that part because I was confused about how his powers worked. So he beats up on Hortus, and then gets his ass beat by Hortus. So Hortus is getting better, and then
he turns into a superhero.
Then he
dude.
turns into Captain Achilles, which is a Captain Marvel sort of thing.
Wow, he's a cool character.
He is a cool character. Bring him back, Eric. We need more Manga.
Manga is actually a really cool character, dude. That's actually really fucking cool. This should have been issue 1.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest. It was I will say this though. Now that I know understand what's going on, it's cool. Mm-hmm. But when I didn't understand what was going on, it wasn't as cool. I kind of thought he was a different character 3 different times.
I got to be honest, Jim. I gathered that he was a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously that panel of him becoming the Lobo character.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't, for the fucking life of me, figure out why he was called Manga.
In that particular scene where he turns into the Lobo character, he doesn't name himself that time, so it's less obvious what's happening. If he had said, "I'm turning into White Wolf" or something Wolf or something.
Well, for me, I knew it was the guy that teleported him, because your clue for that is when Hortus comes up to him, she says, "Are you okay? You look sick." And then she offers him some Campbell's soup. And then he transforms. And I was thinking to myself, why is their teleporter suddenly able to, like, fucking morph? Like, whatever.
Right.
And I wasn't thinking about it. But goddamn, dude, he's a cool character when you put it in that. Like, when you understand. Oh, my God, I'm embarrassed. I love to record my shame and my ignorance.
So it looks like his limit is he can be a different superhero for 1 minute. And then he has to be sick for 1 minute. So he can be a hero every 60 seconds. For 60 seconds. At least
I'm not sure, yeah.
Which is pretty powerful if you use it correctly.
Well, Jim, there's no downtime because he actually transforms immediately from fucking the Lobo character. Fucking the Lobo. Sorry, that's a bad verbal filler I have, folks. It makes really weird conversation sometimes. He transforms from the Lobo dude, like, into Captain Achilles.
Does he?
Yeah.
No, not
He's only knocked out. It's not immediate, but, like, he's only knocked out for, like, a second. Like, it's not like another minute. I don't think there's that minute gap.
Because he gets knocked against the wall by Hortus, and we don't see him again. Until he's suddenly saying, "Time's up. Time for our next contestant. Hope your will's in order. In the next 60 seconds, and I'm able to maintain the form of Captain Achilles, I will kill you." And then Super Patriot immediately shoots him in the Achilles tendon, because obviously that's your weakness, idiot.
Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Super Patriot even says, "I read those comics as a kid."
See, when I read that,
crystal clear.
Yeah, when I read that the first time, though, I thought he was, like, talking in general, that he learned about the myth of Achilles through comic books. But now it makes more sense that he's actually just referencing actual comic books.
We're dumbasses.
We are real dumbasses. You're right,
We're just
Raven.
fucking stupid, dude. I'm sorry. Like, it's what's bad. Here's the thing: is, like, I try not to criticize comics. Like if they have given me all the clues, then the failure's just on my part. And, like, dude, there's so many clues that, like, his power is to turn into comic characters. I just didn't realize. I thought to myself, it's so funny, because, like, when I saw that Lobo-looking character, I was like, pretty weird that, like, clearly Vic can make all these pretty unique-looking characters, and then all of a sudden this one dude looks like a Lobo ripoff. I just wasn't fucking connecting the dots. God damn, I'm a dumbass.
We figured it out in the end.
Live.
Well, that scene where Mako is attacking Super Patriot again, which is kind of a cool callback scene to, like, when he first, messed up Super Patriot. But Super Patriot drops, like, what? Like a mechanical bowling ball or something on his head?
Yep.
Thank you. I was wondering what the fuck was going on there. What is happening?
He's reconfigured his arm into a projectile, and he just dropped it on his head. You can see it happening in the second panel. In the other arm, it's like configuring into some weird configuration.
He just turned his arm into like a bowling ball?
Yeah, I mean, he has to shoot bullets, so it makes sense that he can just eject parts of himself.
Okay,
you
just sold me on it.
At least it makes sense to me.
I was not sold, but you literally just then with the bullet defense, you sold me on the bowling ball.
Yep.
You sold me, dude.
It is a unique thing we've never seen before. I will tell you that, and I don't think we see it very much in the future either.
You know what's funny? That makes nothing but sense. And he could do more like giant bullets and shit. It wouldn't even... Yeah, you sold me, dude.
I mean, he's probably got limitations about how much mass he can eject, but yeah.
The octopus guy, is he just blasting Mighty Man with ink?
Yes, that's how I read it, yes.
That's what I thought. I was just checking to make sure. I mean, I misunderstood so much. I was just making sure I didn't misunderstand that power.
I love the page. First of all, I really do like the Covenant of the Sword. They're really creepy and
they're incredible, dude.
I love the page where they're looking at the monitors and there's like that close up on the one guy's face where he's got the Andy Rooney eyebrows and stuff.
Yeah, the really like bushy old man brow.
They're just, I don't know, they're cool visuals. I like that.
Yeah. All these guys are, dude. Like I
love the drones that the Covenant have. Like, so the last page where he kills the guy.
Yes.
Those guys kind of show up all around. They're just based on Dave Johnson type,
Kudzu Tech.
Because Dave Johnson drew the mini, so all these designs are based on him.
Yeah, it's funny because like Vic chose to go like Larson tube gun on Super Patriot's arms, but then he totally proves that he can like go Dave Johnson cylinders with that like Covenant of the Sword dude executing the mayor.
Yep.
Like it looks good. Like it doesn't look bad. Like it's fucking looks like right on model. This is good, dude. This is a good issue. Like I'm saying, like this is a really, really solid fucking issue. Like the Covenant of the Sword look awesome. These like this team that they've sent. It's funny because it's like a team book, so of course you're going to send another team, like a team of villains against them. And it's like you get that, you get all kinds of like awesome character comedy, like, I don't know, good body language. Like Vic's got good body language on this. I think
he missed the mark on one thing.
Lay it out.
I think he made Rapture look too conservative.
Where?
When you look at this page 2 and 3, well, and also just go back page 2, you see
she's not really
lapel pin.
She's not really.
In the sweater. Yeah. That sweater's not real Rapture.
Well, it's winter.
It just seems out of character for her.
Is it?
I mean, I enjoy seeing them in street clothes, but it seems like she would have something like low cut.
Yeah.
If she was going to wear something.
Totally.
Because she's a giant flirt.
Yeah, agree.
I don't think you appreciate a woman in a sweater is all I'm saying.
No, I don't think that. I mean, you look at the way she wears a police uniform.
Yeah.
And she's going to wear a sweater like that.
Yeah, it's January.
I think the character would have the twins out. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just the way Eric writes her. She's very provocative, and this just seems a weird mischaracterization. But I will say, I wonder if part of it is maybe that Vic Bridges felt uncomfortable with it. Because one of the things I wanted to bring up is that Vic Bridges doesn't do any more work after this series.
No?
And from what I remember, and it was one of the reasons why I was talking to Savage Dragon superfan Mark Welser, was I was trying to pick his brain if he remembered why. But I remember Eric saying something to the effect that he left comics because of religious reasons.
Right.
Oh, no.
I don't know if he was a Jehovah's Witness or something.
Well, that would explain it.
And so I'm wondering if part of this is, I mean, obviously he's drawing her in costume in other parts of this book, so I don't know. But I'm wondering if he's toning it down a little bit when he can.
That makes sense. Things I'd like to highlight is I think are extra, like, exceptional moments artistically. That I'm sorry, listener, just please appreciate these moments. Is I think that the panel of Ricochet bouncing through the chick that can, like, turn into chunks. I think that's a really awesome shot. Yeah, I think that's incredible. And then the same, likewise, the panel of Hive with all the little dudes.
Yeah.
Busting out of his side. I think that is exceptional. And then the last thing that I'm going to praise, but this is actually, this whole issue is full of, like, just strong everything. Strong, like, perspective, backgrounds, funny character faces, funny character moments. My final thing to highlight is on the page where Manga is becoming Captain Achilles, the last panel, Hortus is butting her head into his, and it is the fucking funniest, one of the funniest Hortus drawings I've ever seen. It's fucking hilarious.
It's good, though. It looks on character.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's on character, but it's just a funny visual of her,
like a pissed off dog.
Yes, dude, yeah. And it fits her character so well. It's funny that it's like Vic instantly understood and knew these characters because he's even selling their body language, dude. I don't know. Just strong as hell. To me,
if you look at that panel too,
yeah,
which is pretty cool, is look at Super Patriot's arm. Is like his wrist went down to expose a cannon.
Yeah.
So his hand is like flapped down.
Right.
There's a cannon coming out, and he's got another cannon on top of that.
Yeah. It's awesome, dude. There's all kinds of good shit like that in this. Oh, it's good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought this was really solid. Solid as hell. Should have been issue number 1. Like, just fantastic.
The art is solid. I love that last page where where the drone wastes that guy. Like, the guy's face and everything, just solid. Solid inking, solid penciling.
Yep. And hilariously, Drone 7 will take over as the mayor. Do you think that is a callback to Drone 7 from Sector G?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of which, Josh Eichhorn is a wedgie recipient. Wedgie.
Wedgie. Yeah,
okay.
they dropped the D, but it's wedgie. Oh, wait, no, wedgie. Yeah, they got the D in there. Yeah, wedgie recipient.
A wedgie. A wedgie. Wow. Okay, so here's the thing. I know what a wedgie is, and I know what a recipient is. When I was putting those two words together, I was thinking of completely different wedgies and recipients.
Wait, I need your context.
Like a wedgie.
What were you thinking?
I was wedgie, like a wedge of cheese, like the shape of a wedge. And recipient, I was trying to like force like the word receipt for some reason. And it didn't make any. It was like a completely failure of language.
The old cheese receipt. Well, now you know how we could read manga and not know what the fuck's going on with it.
How strange now. Just opening, look at this inside cover. I'm looking at that first page. The bubble, the speech bubble with the E in it. That's very strange looking.
What's weird about it? I know immediately what's weird about it. What would fix it is that the bubble is like over the word.
Well, that's not so bad if it ran longer, or like it was a slightly different. Like what I would have done, because I'm a professional letterer, is I would have made it. I would have made the bubble like taller and had like 2 lines of E's running off the edges, because the whole idea is that she's screaming so loud, it's like consuming the word bubble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it doesn't really play like that because it kind of stops at the edges, so just the edges are getting cut off instead of like chunks of the word.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need the exclamation points. It should have just been E's running off the end.
Thing I'm gonna pick on just a little bit. It's funny because it's literally sandwiched between 2 panels I praised. When you see Ricochet, bounce between phase, and then like Hive is like got the little guys busting out. In the middle panel, Barbaric winding up his left arm for like a wind up punch.
Oh yeah,
that's just weird looking, dude. He's stirring it up. He's gonna give him the
mixer.
Yeah, exactly. Why yada? Like he just pops some spinach. I'm in a lousy mood. Gets ready for a... Even that joke doesn't really land. Get ready to get beat, eggnoggin. I don't know. But anyway, I loved it. This was a fucking... If the first issue had to get a number score, I would give it a strong, 7. I would give this a strong, 9.5. This was good, dude.
Yeah.
This was really good.
Can't disagree. I am really enjoying this series now that we've gotten started.
Yeah. Lay it on me, Jim. Give me those feels, dude. I need that fresh reader. Give me what what's your headspace.
Well, what about
dude?
you? You mean this is fresh to you too? I mean, you're saying it's
Well,
a
that's what I said.
9.5. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a 9.5
Lay it on me.
because I read so many superhero comics. It's very good in good ways, but it still lacks something exciting to make it more than an 8.
Well, that's 8s are still 8s.
7.8.
7.8 still good.
I'd say it's actually more closer to an 8, to be honest, because it is one of the better superhero comics I've read ever. So, but it is not. But there's nothing there's a lack of meat to it. We've had 2 issues, and they both primarily featured large extended fight scenes. The most character stuff we got is with Dart, primarily, and not so much everyone else. And I think that's what's lacking right now is character arcs. Because we barely gotten started.
Mighty Man, Super Patriot.
Well, that's more of a mystery. But yes, you're right. Mighty Man and Super Patriot's Mighty Man's trying to fake it, and Super Patriot apparently isn't noticing because he's old.
Right.
And Dart's in on it, but she doesn't really know the facts. But Dart doesn't really care either. She just needs to know what their capabilities are, and if she knows she's a rookie, that's how she's going to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think as time goes on and more character threads, Barbaric and Ricochet and especially Hortus. Hortus's history is nothing going on. I mean, what's going on with Hortus? She dated Michelangelo and she married Rex Dexter. That's Hortus's life.
I mean, she's a simpleton,
But that's the problem, that she should evolve. And I felt that after she got married and had a kid, she's actually a better character now. We just don't ever see her to see that. So we all still assume she's a simpleton.
Yeah, we haven't seen her damn daughter.
Yeah.
The team is in Canada, and we've not seen Dixie.
But that's my main problem with Hortus as a character, is that because she's played up as kind of a clueless, uneducated person, her character's got no place to go. And that's always been my problem with Hortus. Plus, her design doesn't excite me as much as it does other people. I mean, it's a good design, but spiky lizard girl is not my bag.
Bite your tongue. You just don't appreciate the value of a sweater.
I guess.
You know what? I'm going to counter that. Okay.
Counter it. Combo break me.
I thought it was cool because you have Dart. She's struggling with administrative functions, which she's not used to. You have just Rapture talking about dating and love and your life in Detroit. And it's funny because it's weird. After all these years of reading Savage Dragon, I don't even fucking think about Dart's life in Detroit. And yet here we are in the very first few pages. You got Rapture and Dart just talking about shit I just never think about with these characters. Dart dating, that's interesting. And so then you got subtext of here's this mayor that's he's a mayor, but the Covenant of the Sword has fucking clones of people that are in charge of cities.
Well, think about that. We got introduced to the mayor of Chicago.
Yeah.
For one issue. And then he got replaced by a clone.
Yeah. This is interesting stuff. That's what I'm saying. Is it's not just a big fight scene. If you look but past the fight stuff, there's interesting shit happening. You know what I mean? There's subplots of distrust between Super Patriot and Mighty Man. There's the the little functional roles of Dart, becoming almost like a leader. She's clearly the one leading the charge on getting their headquarters,
right?
A secretary, whatever else, and I don't know. To me, there's a lot more under the hood here.
And there's infighting kind of where Barbaric and Ricochet are kind of complaining about Dart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's basically ready to leave because he's I don't need Dart. She's not my mom. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, they do have the same hair.
I think it's good. I think it's strong. I will say that I have read issues of Invincible that were like worse than this. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
So to me, that's why I say it's a strong hero comic, because there's a lot in play and there's a lot going on. So I think it's tight. I think it's way the fuck better than issue 1.
I think if you guys like this issue, you're going to like the series as it keeps
Oh, that's good to hear, dude.
Also, hashtag bring Manga back.
Yeah. Bring that character back, dude.
Sorry, he comes back in issue 115.
He does?
Of Savage Dragon.
Right. Which means if that's the case, then he probably didn't survive that issue.
Yeah, he probably got blown up.
No, he's in the backup, I believe.
Wait, 115. That must have been Rockhouse Diner. No, wait, no. 115 was
Freak Force.
Oh no, that's Freak Force Zero. That's why he's in it.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? Is it Freak Force Zero?
Or
is it the Freak Force backup?
Is that is 115 the Mark Engler Freak Force backup?
I think that might be the case. Yes, it is. That's why he's in it.
I'm telling you guys, like, think about what a gift that character is. You have a villain who can essentially turn into any comic character, but basically like a thinly veiled illusion.
Right.
So you could give the fans.
He can turn into any knockoff.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
It's kind of a silly power, though. It's weird.
It's weird.
I'm saying okay. It is a weird power, but it isn't unheard of in comics. Like, it's very much like Dial H for Hero, the DC character, the teenage character with who dials HE. Wait, how do you spell hero? HERO on his dial, and he turns into a random superhero. Not a random like known superhero, but a brand new, completely different than last time, random superhero. It's almost a Dial H sort of power.
But think about it, like, so, like, you could give the fans that Savage Dragon versus Spider-Man moment, like, through a character like this. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of a neat character. Like, it kills me that such a cool character exists, and he's just been doing nothing on the sidelines. So, yeah, you use that tool, man. That's a really great tool to whip out of the old tool shed.
So, here's a fun fact. I'm reading the wiki, Savage Dragon wiki, on savagedragon.com. He did die in 115 in the backup, the Freak Force backup by...
God damn it.
Yes. But here's the thing. He's a Johnny Redbeard creation. That's why he turns into superhero knockoffs.
Perfect. Flawless victory.
And then,
perfect.
Then he got his head ripped off by Billy Bierman, Mighty Man, because that was when that was happening.
When it was like evil Mighty Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole Freak Force backup in 115 was crazy because it was all like weird versions.
Yeah,
Like
everyone was over the hill or fat or crazy.
Gross Rapture. Yeah.
I think only Super Patriot was semi-sane. It was also a Super Patriot who had only just woken up from being on ice for a decade. So he was out of it too. Yeah, poor Manga, we barely knew you.
Yeah, fuck it. Should have known.
He was too powerful to live.
Too pure for this dark timeline. That's it. Oh well, shit. Craig, we got both the new guy opinions. I want to hear like your issue 2 feelings.
I enjoyed it. I think I talked about it, but
oh, sorry.
I think I did tell you, but I liked the Covenant in there. I liked, seeing these new villains. I liked everything about this issue. I enjoyed it. It ties in a lot of what's going on. I especially like the Covenant. I think they're a cool character, a cool bunch of villains.
I think we should track this too. Is that if I remember, legendary letter hack Augie loved Freak Force, right?
Yeah.
You can see right here in the letters column. He's giving it love right off the bat.
I tell you, I was pretty excited to see that Mako's costume was the same as 80s because I totally forgot about that, and it totally took me off guard. It's the same as issue 81 costume. Like Jim said, I thought that was a totally new costume in 81.
Yeah.
You know how there's like a Mako Dart Dragon character kicking around in the universe?
Yes.
Yeah.
When that kid grows up, he should wear that costume. Because that's a good look. That's a good look for Mako.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, they got a lot of letters for a series that's only 1 issue long.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, dude.
filled up almost 4 pages. No, 4 pages of letter columns. So they're getting.
Yeah, but you gotta imagine when an issue 1 came out back then, they sold like hotcakes. So I can't imagine how many of issues that sold. Freak Force 1, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a ton.
I mean,
Just speculators.
get a second house, you know.
Yeah, but what speculator is going to write a letter?
Well, I mean, people might have bought it and ended up reading. I'm just saying it got into a lot of hands.
So, we've got some really interesting ads in this issue.
Late on.
Well, this first one is clearly not an Image comic. It's a Heart of Darkness. I have no idea what this is.
Mike Miller, I think, did it.
Oh, it's a Mike Miller comic.
He's inking this comic, and then he goes on to do Red Horizon.
That makes sense. That explains this. Weird. And then we get an ad for The Pact, the original The Pact. Coming at you like a freight train, I guess. I don't know anything about this series. I don't know who was behind it. I don't know, like, what...
Wasn't that Valentino?
Is this a Shadow Line? Oh, that makes sense. I believe the one that came out in the 2000s with Invincible and Fire Breather, I think, was through Shadow Line, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Shadow Line before Shadow Line.
Yeah. And then we have one that I can barely read the logo. I wanted to say Omega, but now that I look at it, it's New Men.
New Men.
Yeah, it's New Men. Not X-Men, New Men. I don't know.
Paul Newman.
I don't know anything about Paul Newman.
It's an extreme.
Extreme
prejudice.
Certainly looks like it. Oh yeah, it's not just extreme; he's extreme prejudice. Jeez,
That's kind of a bad tag.
Perfect.
find out
Timeless.
in Extreme Prejudice. Coming this March from Extreme Studios and Image. What a weird ad. And then we got.
I wonder what month it really came out.
We got Supreme number 11. So Supreme's still cooking along.
Which is Extreme Prejudice Part 4.
Oh, I see. So that must mean that New Men spun out of this storyline. See, it all makes sense now when you get some of the pieces. Brian Murray and Chris Ivey. So I guess Liefeld isn't even working on it anymore.
Supreme? He never did.
He never did?
It was always someone else.
Oh, I didn't realize.
It was Brian Murray was at least from issue 1. I think I only collected the first 4 issues. Of
You're correct.
Supreme.
Yeah, it was not Liefeld.
We get this. Then we get a black and white ad for Pitt, issue number 3. He's come to finish the.
Probably because he didn't have the colors done.
He's
yet.
come to finish the job. Zoivod. Zoivod? I don't know.
I
Zoidberg.
admit, I enjoyed the Pitt comics. They seemed to come out regularly when they did, because I was buying them as they came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Dale Keown's art is fantastic.
Yeah, he's a goddamn
The guy
beast.
can draw.
Yeah.
And the stories were pretty decent from what I remember. I mean, I think the best part was it was good art and it was coming out on a regular, and it was the same artist, and it was someone that I liked.
Primarily, I hated the kid, Timmy.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a little lame kid running around, it kills it. And he was the weakest part of Pitt. Everything about Pitt was fucking awesome and brutal, except this fucking dopey looking kid.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Otherwise, Pitt was fucking killer.
It was. Guys, I don't know. There's some artists you look at and you're like, how does he do that?
That's Dale Keown, man. He's
And there's like, yeah, and there's certain artists that, like, yeah, they all kind of look the same, and there's certain artists that just stand out.
Really? Because I look at Pitt and I go, oh, I've seen this before. This is...
if you had read it, if you could, like, what was killer about Dale Keown is, dude, he could do interiors. He could do.
I look at it and go,
I'm not
this
even-
looks like The Max. This looks like Youngblood. This looks like I've
Really?
seen this.
Oh no!
The only thing
you
that
just
looks
need to look.
the
at
kid
more.
looks weird. The kid looks like a anime character compared to everybody else. But
I hate Timmy. Ugh, fucking.
I mean, I'm not even talking about the characters. It's just Dale Keown's art is like I don't know. Maybe you gotta look at more of his stuff.
Yeah, you got to look at more of his stuff because his art's
Look
incredible.
at his Hulk stuff.
That's what I mean. It looks like 90s Hulk. 90s Hulk had a lot of veins in his neck, too. Probably because it was drawn by this guy.
Pencils, inks. Del Keown can do anything, dude. He's fucking killer.
Yeah. Look at his finished shit with colors. It's just amazing.
He draws sexy women, too.
I think he's light years beyond, like, some of that extreme stuff.
Oh, he absolutely was, dude. Yeah, Del Keown was in a league on his own. Like, yeah, he was fucking 10 out of 10.
So it's crazy. It's 1994. Image is 2 years old, and Spawn already has enough clout to cross over with Batman.
Well, I think McFarlane just has enough clout to get whatever.
That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
You're talking McFarlane when he was with Marvel in an adjectiveless Spider-Man. McFarlane was like untouchable.
Dude,
I used to go.
McFarlane in the 90s.
They used to put McFarlane covers on. What was it? Not Marvel Comics Presents. What's the other one? Marvel Tales.
Fanfare.
No, was it? What were the reprint books? The Spider-Man reprint.
Oh,
books? Were they called Marvel Tales.
Yes, it was.
They used to take Marvel Tales and just put McFarlane covers on them, and I would buy every single one.
Wow.
And my friends would too.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Because it would be a new piece of McFarlane art. And it would be like, holy fuck. And they used to take McFarlane and just have him draw random covers. Because whatever cover he would draw, that thing would go up. He did a cover of Conan. He did a cover of Quasar. It was like Quasar wasn't selling shit. He put a McFarlane cover on Quasar. Sold like hotcakes.
Weird.
I ate that up.
It is really hard for people now to understand the value, though, of like the impact that an incredible image had. Because, like, there was no internet. You didn't have the ability to just summon any cool image in the world to your phone. You fucking literally, if you saw a kick-ass cool image, you had to get it because that was probably the only form that you were going to have that cool image in your life. And so...
Yeah, you couldn't just punch it up on the web and be like, oh, I see that now.
Yeah, and so because the reason why I'm saying this is because a quaint story about me, like, that makes me feel old as fuck. But, like, you know, I'm an artist, and every artist before the internet had reference books, like homemade, like you would get and collect reference, so that if you needed to, like, sort of draw something, you could, because the internet didn't fucking exist. And I used to read about legendary, like, reference collections that artists had assembled and compiled over the years of their own. So I started doing that a little bit. And I'm just saying, like, think how fucking funny that is. The idea of cutting images out and taping them into a book so that if you...
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious now. But I'm just saying, like, when you say I bought every McFarlane cover, it is because that was an incredible fucking image. And how else... What, were you going to just look at it once and remember it forever? No, you wanted to fucking own it. Totally different.
I mean, if you just Google Marvel Tales McFarlane and you just see the volume of covers, and honestly, it was like with Larson too, I just wanted to see McFarlane's take on as many characters as I could. Because that was like a full-blown McFarlane. Like, and, you know, I don't feel that way these days. I look at it now and I'm like, it's aged. But it's still, a lot of it is really cool looking. But when I was like 12, 13, like, holy shit, I wanted to see McFarlane draw every single thing he could.
Yeah. Dude, and that's still, what's funny is even in our modern era, that still applies. Right now, Mike Mignola is drawing random things through the quarantine.
And people are losing their minds. Oh,
they're losing their
Flintstones by Mignola.
Yeah, SpongeBob by Mignola. Just shit you never thought you would see. He drew a Hellboy giant robot.
You're watching people lose their minds about it.
Yeah, and it's because, like you said, you want to see these artists' take on things. I joked that, like, now that Savage Dragon was in Canada, that, like, Savage Dragon should meet Scott Pilgrim. It's not that I'm a fucking Scott Pilgrim fan like that, but I know that Eric loves Scott Pilgrim, and I would love to see Eric draw a Scott Pilgrim. Pin up,
right?
One shot, whatever. Just, I would love to see... Here's Eric's a kick-ass artist. He loves this comic. I would love to see him draw like fucking Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers and just all that shit, just to see his take on it. Because I'm sure he'd do a kick-ass job. But, you know, I'm just agreeing with you.
No, it definitely was a different time, though. I think the internet's changed a lot. Like you said, now it's like, who cares? I can just punch this up and look at it when I want to look at McFarlane art. I can find shit that I can find everything over his career.
Yeah, you would never buy a cover just because... You would never buy a book just because of its cover.
And Marvel Tales are like $1 a pop. And honestly, in the back issue bins, they were getting marked up because they were in so high demand just for a cover.
Sure. I don't know.
I don't know if you guys... I totally remember like Marvel used to throw him on covers. Like I said, Quasar, something that wouldn't sell, or Conan. Give him a McFarlane cover. Everybody would talk about it.
I wasn't buying Marvel comics or anything during that period, but I did in my comic buying. I think everybody goes through it, where until you learn your lesson, and you have just a bunch of books that are dog shit but have cool covers. But like everybody goes through that phase where they're just like, shit, dude, this art's awesome, and then you buy it and you're like, oh well, the interiors are horrible, but whatever.
The funny thing now is I'd probably like enjoy the interiors.
with your older
it'd be all the
mind.
classic, like
Right.
Now I'm like, I love them. Glad I bought these. Now I can read them.
Right. One last thing before we ride this Freak Force 2 into the sunset. A recurring theme that I've always found hilarious in Savage Dragon is that Eric sort of shits on evil twins.
Yep.
As a concept and a notion, and then hilarious. Like, what was it when Dragon first fought Dark Dragon? The cover literally said "Evil twins, it's come to this."
Yeah.
And the send-off for this is hilarious. It says, next issue, a tried-and-true formula for solid entertainment, a staple of really awful television shows. You got it. Evil twins. Comics don't get better than this. Just funny. Just funny to me.
That's so good.
Consistently shitting on evil twins is funny.
Yeah, you should hear him talk about Black Adam.
Oh no, I've never heard him talk shit about it.
Well, in the original old Golden Age Captain Marvel, Black Adam existed for one issue and got killed by Uncle Dudley.
Right.
And
Uncle Dudley got the kill.
Yeah, exactly. And since the 80s, they've been trying to build up Black Adam as Captain Marvel's like number one like antagonist. And right. Eric is completely unconvinced by this, going, I don't think people like these evil clone villains. I mean, if they did, they wouldn't have killed him in one issue 100 years ago.
The sad irony...
Isn't Black Adam getting his own movie, too?
Indeed.
Yeah, I was going to say, the sad irony is that fucking people love evil clones. They love it.
They fucking do.
They love Spider-Man, Venom.
Well, that's the thing. Like, 90% of the Marvel movies are the first installment is almost always versus your evil twin.
Yeah, dude.
Every single time.
Every single one of them. Every single one.
And sometimes they do it twice in a row.
Yeah. Ironmonger, fucking Venom fought another Venom in a lab. Like, it's like, it just on and on.
Venom had a clone, and in the sequel, he's going to fight another one because they're going to do Carnage this time.
Beautiful. Clones versus clones. Love it.
It's bizarre. See, it's symmetry. They're fighting themselves. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
It's conflict, personal conflict, deep in your...
so deep, so metaphorical.
Got to beat yourself before you can save yourself.
Yeah. Got to rise above your failures, you know.
This is what you'd be like if you were evil.
Uh-huh, yep. Oh, man, imagine if I was corrupted.
Imagine if I didn't have any morals. I would be like this asshole.
Oh, Lord, dude. All right. I'm feeling pretty good. You guys feeling pretty good?
That's why the Kerr Dark Dragon fight's actually really good, because it's actually just two evil guys, evil versions of the hero beating each other up. It's not the hero versus his clone. It's both his clones beating up on him.
It is a nice twist, dude. It is a nice twist on the evil twin thing. And evil wins.
Whoever wins, we lose. Am I right?
Yeah. Ay, la cucaracha.
So that was Freak Force 1 and 2. I'm looking forward to reading more of these as we go on.
Yeah, I really am too.
I'm not actually sure what our next scheduled reviewing will be because I closed that Word document. So whatever it is, we'll let you know.
The Savage FINcast Super Pro.
Oh, yes, and if you want to contact us, you can send us an email to savagefincast@gmail.com, leave a message on our website, savagefincast.com, or find us on Facebook, hanging out at the Eric Larson Savage Dragon Facebook fan group, where we are often found, as well as we usually post our podcast there as well. You can leave a comment on those posts.
We would love to hear from you, hear your thoughts on Freak Force. Were you there when it launched? Like, how do you feel about it? Is it a thing you've never read? Is it a thing that you would love to see collected? We'd love to hear from you. Any thoughts you have on this? If you could see any Savage Dragon character in street clothes, who would it be? Just let us know. We just want to hear from you guys. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Raven.
Thank you.
Thanks, listeners. Have a good one. Stay safe.